Massachusetts working. Yeah.
I'm glad to have you here tonight. You what? Yeah. Hey there, how are y'all?
Doing all right, how about
Good,
yourself?
glad to have you here tonight.
What's up, y'all? Hey, brother. Hey, man. Get Dawn to sit beside you. Front row, don't
Yes, he is. We
No,
don't
it's
get
a lot.
shit in the front.
No, he's got it first.
Hey, how are y'all? Glad to have you here tonight.
Hey, we're gonna have some knockdown, drag out board meetings, I tell you. Some of them, they get embarrassed and they don't know anything about Robert's Rule of Order, you know. Now we run board meetings. You got a couple of bullies in the department, like, I think they own the department. I'm not calling their names, but you probably know who I'm talking about. Family, man.
Where's your,
Yeah. Go see you.
I'm the one that's having problems.
How are you?
Help us out with daughter.
What's my?
She was bleeding on the inside. They had to be operated.
Today, you found out today.
No way. It's a couple weeks she's at home.
How's she weak and everything?
Ready?
In my best, sometimes we can throw some prayers on you guys.
It's time to bring this, meeting to order. Let's do roll call.
Commissioner Hay,
Present.
Commissioner Morton,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cordell,
Here.
Commissioner Fowler,
Here.
Mayor Black.
Here. Let's bow for invocation. Dear God, our Father in heaven above, we are greatly appreciative of you even this day. We thank you and praise you for another day here on this planet. We thank you for being able to conduct business for the town of Ranlo and your blessings upon our town. I pray that even as we conduct this business tonight, that we'll do it in an orderly, mannerly way, and that everything said and done will be considered to praise you and to give you glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, first item is adoption of the agenda tonight. We have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a second.
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor? So carried. Comments from attendees? Do we have anybody signed up?
I'm not aware of anyone that signed up to
did.
make arrangements for the public hearing,
Yeah,
correct?
I did.
Okay, yeah, we'll have the public hearing soon, but we'll have an opportunity for public hearing for a comment on the proposed livestock provisions.
Gotcha.
This would
Okay.
just be for anything in general, not pertaining to the livestock ordinance.
Thank you.
Okay, approval of the February 10th, 2022 regular meeting minutes. We have approval for that. Somebody take a motion, you make a motion? You wanna-
I'll second that.
Wade, motion, second, Trevor, all in favor? So carried. All right, now I'd like to open up a public hearing for revised livestock ordinance. We're now in public open forum, and you was wanting to speak. Anybody else sign up to speak? Just you?
Yeah.
Tommy? Okay.
And my daddy was supposed to be two people to say something, I didn't remember him.
Okay. All right, you wanna take a stand over here? Lift up your right hand.
Sign here, initial.
While he's getting ready, I can give some background on the ordinance, Mr. Mayor, if you would
Okay.
like. The planning board recommended the draft ordinance amending Title 9, Section 90-03 of the Ranlo Code of Ordinances on February 17, 2022. This is a revised livestock ordinance which would provide for the keeping of certain animals within the town limits. Specifically, the ordinance speaks to chickens. The planning board recommended, among other things, 10 hens for each single-family lot. No chickens allowed in multifamily dwellings, including duplexes, with roosters not being permitted. No slaughtering, they must be kept, slaughtering outdoors of the chickens. It provides for coop requirements, height requirements, setback requirements, and requires that a permit and zoning compliance application be shown. This was approved for recommendation by the planning board, as I stated, on February 17, 2022. So, as the mayor indicated, he has opened the public hearing for any comments on this revised ordinance.
State your name and address.
My name's Tommy Downer. I live at 2600 East Spencer Avenue, Ranlo, North Carolina. Mainly I'm here today is the chickens, the nine hens and one rooster at we have our home. Is that, I was at the planning board meeting when they passed those ordinances and all that and everything. But I'm mainly here for my daughter's mental health. Because she's raised these hens and this rooster since they were babies and all that. If you would see her at times, she can go in that coop, sit down in the coop, and they all be around her and not bother the woman, not even the rooster. Because that rooster, when she went and picked that rooster up, that rooster was special to her. And that rooster has a reason. God made that rooster for a reason. That rooster there, his job in that hen coop is to protect those hens in that coop. Just like it's a man in a man's home, it's the man, when the man lives in his home, it's his responsibility as the man in the house to protect his family from any kind of harm. Just like that rooster in that home with those hens, it's that rooster's responsibility to protect them hens for any kind of harm that comes into that coop. If a snake wanders in that coop, that rooster's going to defend those hens no matter what, or any kind of animal or critter. I don't see what any harm is with having one rooster. That's all you need is one. That rooster, if a snake was happening to come in that pen and it tried to attack those hens or take any kind of eggs, that rooster's going to fight that snake until he dies. If you don't believe me, go watch him on YouTube. You'll see how roosters protect a hen coop from snakes. I've seen on one YouTube channel where this one guy, he lost a rooster against a snake. But guess what? That snake did not harm any of those hens because that rooster killed that snake. I'm mainly here today because of my daughter's mental health. And if you tell me I'm like to kill a rooster because of an ordinance, then I have an issue with that because that's going to affect her. What if you had a child and you told your child that, hey, I'm going to kill your dog because the town won't allow you to have a dog. Well, I'm going to sell your dog or get rid of it. What's the difference in having a dog, a cat, a rooster for a pet? Because these are what these are pets, besides giving us our family food, eggs, and all that. That's my daughter's pet. She don't have a dog, she don't have a cat. But I ask you today here, if y'all at least allow one rooster. I'm fine with 10 hens, that's great, and all that. And I think it should be a coop. But once again, I'm gonna pass these pictures around you guys. This is our coop here. I say the coop's probably 4 by 5. It's got a nice fence around it, roof, and all that. The chickens are well taken care of. And we keep the chicken coop clean. We got a vinyl flooring on the inside so that we take those pine needles and make it, turn that into compost. And all, and it benefits our garden from that too, besides feeding the family with eggs. And later on, when those hens quit laying, you gotta slaughter them, because they'll quit laying after 3 years, the hens will. But you'll replace the hens with more hens. That rooster's still alive, but he'll live until he dies a day where he gets killed from another animal trying to come into the coop, mainly a snake. You know, but I ask you today here the town board, you know, I think the ordinance is fine, what it is, but I'm asking you today, could you please at least add one rooster to that ordinance today? That's all I'm asking. That's all I have to say. Dad, you have anything to say?
Nope, you done that.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for allowing me to speak today.
Thank you.
Does anyone else from the audience like to make a comment concerning the chicken ordinance? No one else wants to speak, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Motion. I'll second. Have a second. All in favor? We're now out of the public hearing. Next item on the agenda is item number 6. Action on the revised livestock ordinance. Is there any action that the board wishes to make concerning the livestock ordinance?
I have a question. Have you had any complaints about your chickens before?
No, have you heard any points from 2,600 Spencer Avenue
No,
chickens?
I'm of the mind to leave the ordinance as it is and just enforce on a complaint basis. I don't see any, I think this all stems from one incident, I'm guessing.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
That has occurred, so I'm okay with leaving the ordinance as is and just enforcing on complaint basis. So if we have another incident like we had recently, then that's how we take care of it. But what are y'all's thoughts?
So what you going by is on point basis, therefore, if somebody wants some chickens, they gotta go by the footage and everything, right? The old ordinance,
It's 3 acres, only one person out owns 3 acre land.
Yeah, I'm just saying that, I mean, they got this ordinance in there where if you live back here, you can have so many chickens, you know. Y'all okay?
So the problem I think that we've run into is we're just getting too far into the weeds. Now we have to come up with an application and permitting fees and who's gonna enforce all of that. So if we leave it as it is, yes, it is more restrictive, however, if we're not actively enforcing it unless someone is harming their neighbors, then I feel like that's a reasonable rule then.
If we go with this right here, then these people back here is gonna have 10 chickens in their yard.
Right, that's what I'm saying, we just leave it,
So basically,
get rid of that entirely.
Okay.
Commissioner Hay and Commissioner Cordell are recommending denying this amendment to the
Okay.
code of ordinances and leaving the ordinance as written, if I'm not mistaken.
as
That's
written,
what
and then,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Okay.
And
I was
then
just point of clarification.
If
Then-
someone disrupts their neighbors.
If
or
your
their
chickens get
neighbors-
out,
Yeah.
if you know, we have multiple complaints come in, then, you know, we can revisit or have a, you know, I don't know.
I got a question. Why was the 3 acre put on it when it was passed initially? Does anyone, was on the board didn't know?
The county's got the same ordinance.
I just mirrored
I think
their
that's
their ordinance.
It's part of the original ordinance. I don't think I was here. Was you?
County got an ordinance similar to that.
I believe it was revised in 2003.
Yeah, this was recent.
I believe in 2003, the ordinance was revised. I believe it was a comprehensive renovation of the ordinances, which I believe likely reflected what Gaston County's Gaston County ordinance said at the time. But the revised ordinance, which I do not believe that the ordinance spoke specifically to chickens or fowl until 2003, when this addendum to the code of ordinances was adopted. So
So we'll just leave it as is and deal with it on a complaint basis. Is that what you're,
If you want
no
to-
decision whatsoever then? Okay. We don't have to have a motion then? There's no
Well,
decision to be
with
made?
the draft ordinance, it's up for presentation.
Okay.
I would, to accept or
Motion.
reject.
Okay.
Please, Mr.
Motion to
Mayor.
reject.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion to reject, a second.
I second.
Get rid of chickens.
All in favor? Okay.
We gotta get rid of our chickens.
I believe it's the consensus of the board that the revised ordinance is not adopted, that the current ordinance stays into effect, and that it will be enforced on a complaint-only basis.
Yeah, but the zone we live in is a restricted zone for farm
Well,
land.
if nobody complains about their chickens, then apparently they're okay.
In other words, you're good.
Okay.
That's,
As long as I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm okay, right?
that's what it sounds like.
As long as you don't cause your neighbors to complain.
Okay.
Oh, we have to watch out for that one.
But see, my daughter don't
Yeah.
know this is going on mine. I haven't told her nothing yet.
There's no need to. Just,
Okay, good.
Good,
Thank you.
some good eggs, I'm good. All right, next item on the
Thank you.
agenda. Ratification of response to the state treasurer's office for the fiscal year of 2022 audit.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. If you will recall, at the February meeting, Eddie Carrick, our auditor, showed up and gave a report on fiscal year '21, the findings. Since there were areas of concern, the ordinance did, or the rules now state that we have to have a specific letter outlining what course of actions that we are going to take in order to be able to address those areas of concern. I prepared a letter for the North Carolina Department of the State Treasurer, Ms. Susan McCullum. It specifically outlines the steps that we've taken over the past few years with getting our 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21 audits submitted to their office. I've indicated other steps that we have taken, such as the 2017 audit contract with Collison Associated being terminated, the new auditor, my hiring, the hiring of a new finance director, and I've also outlined what steps we've taken in fiscal year '22 to address these concerns, including the tax increase, which is estimated to provide for a $244,000 surplus to replenish our coffers. The increases to water and sewer, which had projected to bring in around $130,000 surplus for the utility fund, and then the cuts that were made last year. So I have prepared this letter. I've reviewed it with Mr. Carrick. It would just need a motion to ratify, and I will need a vote on that matter and your signature on the back of one of these letters.
Do we have such a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? So carried. Next item on the agenda is adoption of our resolution to apply for wastewater, water, and additional interconnect grant.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I'm very excited about these grants. It's a new pot of money that's being allocated to the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality. I'm proposing that we submit 3 separate grant applications. One will be for a new interconnect with the City of Gastonia. I conferred with the City Manager of Gastonia and the Public Works Director yesterday. They were very eager to offer their support on this resolution. They had no reservation at all with us proceeding with this to look at a new interconnect. That is the first application that I propose that we submit. The second is a wastewater replacement that would essentially replace all of the sewer distribution system on the Mill Village, Rex, Walnut, Maple, that general vicinity. And then the third is for water line replacements in the Monterey Park, Middleton, Lewiston, Lynn, Hill, Judith Drive Avenue of town. So total, I'm hoping that we're going to be submitting around $8 to $10 million worth of requests to the Department of Environmental Quality. I hope to have our application there sooner rather than later. May 2nd is the deadline, but I feel confident that we have a very strong chance of securing some, if not all, of these funds. So I'm very eager to undertake that project, very excited about the possibility, and I think that it would be a great fortune for the town of Ranlo to get these funds for the Department of Environmental Quality. So I would just look for a motion to ratify these 3 resolutions and a vote, Mr. Mayor.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Trevor makes a motion, seconds by
I'll second.
Katie. All right, all in favor? So carried. Next item on the agenda is approval of engineering services agreements for capital improvement projects.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. On that same note, last month, we approved the proposal from the Wooten Company to move forward with engineering service. This is the formal, agreement, the formal, engineering service agreement in order to move forward with these projects. We are going to be undertaking approximately $7.5 to $8 million worth of capital improvement projects over the next year to 2 years. This is the service agreement with the Wooten Company to move forward with their proposal. We have began the process of prioritizing these projects. Just on Friday, I signed for the approval of the authorization of $3.5 million from the State Capital Improvement Fund grant in these direct allocations to be coming to our account. I hope to have that by April 10th. I hope to also have the money from the DEQ for the water line replacements in South Ranlo for the new meters. If you'll recall, we approved that letter on Monday night indicating our intent to move forward with the replacement of the water meters. So I would just look for a motion to approve this engineering service so we can get these projects off the ground and running.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve these services?
I'll make a motion.
I'll
All right.
second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? So carried. Next item on the agenda. The ETJ appointment to the planning board.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Keeza Simons of 109 Woodside Avenue has expressed an interest in serving in the ETJ representative for our planning board. Ms. Simon lives off of Woodside Avenue, just outside of the town limits. I met with her husband, spoke with her. She is very eager to join our board. I was communicating with her yesterday and indicated that if appointed tonight, she would be sworn in at next Thursday's planning board meeting. So we've had difficulty securing an ETJ representative, so I was very glad and relieved to see that Ms. Simons is interested in joining the board. So would look for a motion to appoint her, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we have such a motion?
I'll make a motion, we
Motion, we have a second?
appoint her.
Second.
Wait a second. All in favor? So carried. Great. Other business, town manager?
I do have a few items for the board and the public tonight, Mr. Mayor. Number one, Town Hall and Public Works will be closed on April 15th for Good Friday. There will be no delay in residential garbage pickup. We are planning a Easter event for April 16th. That will be on Saturday, April 16th, the Saturday before Easter. We're hoping to have an event at the community building on the track, Easter egg hunt, arts and crafts. I'll have more details in the next week or so that we can begin promoting it, have it back on the utility bill. But I did want to put that on your radar that we will be having we will be having that event on April 16th, time, date, and more details will be announced within the next week. I also want to make mention to the great news that we received yesterday. Although tentative, I received word from United States Senator Richard Byrd's office that the House of Representatives was close to reaching an agreement on a funding resolution that specifically provides for $2 million to the town of Ranlo. The Senator's office seemed very optimistic that it would be passing within the next week. This is another fruit of the labor that we sent to Washington around a year ago. It was around March of 2021 that we passed a resolution specifically asking for those help that went to our Washington delegation and our Raleigh delegation. So if you will recall, Senator Byrd's office reached out almost immediately, showed interest, and they worked with us. I coordinated with them over the summer into the fall and winter, and I was very excited to hear that news from Washington. So all things go as they project. We're looking at that money being approved within the next week. That will be going through HUD. We'll receive a grant awarded application of sorts that we will submit, but the Senator's office pledged their support to the project and have been very agreeable throughout the entire process with working with us. So I'm certainly very excited to be seeing that coming down the pipe pretty soon. And as I mentioned on Friday, we did sign for the first allocation of our the first portion of our direct allocation, the first installment of $3.5 million. So I hope to have that within the next few weeks, and still working with the DEQ for the second part of that. Also, Commissioner Morton noted, and I did want to bring that to light tonight, that within the last week we have lost two former Ranlo commissioners. Ms. Dottie Schufer and Mr. Roy Gittens passed away this last week. They served Ranlo for quite some time, for many years, so we certainly remember their families and thank them for their years of service. Lastly, before you tonight, Finance Director Ms. Elsie and I have put together just a very rough first preliminary draft of the budget for fiscal year 23. In that budget, we attempted to fund the projects that were discussed on Monday night, specifically things that we were not able to fund without dipping into fund balance was one of the police cars. The additional officer, one additional car was budgeted, but the additional 40,000 for the second car was not funded. We discussed putting $20,000 into the public works budget. Because that's in the general fund, we moved that to 10, with the additional allocations of 20 in water and 20 in sewer being provided. This also includes a 10% salary increase from fiscal year 2022. You'll recall a 6% raise was passed in December, and then we discussed tentatively putting 4 in there and freezing it until such time that we could better assess the finances. So the salary, the FICA, the benefit line items, that is allocated to adjust, or has been adjusted to show that allocation. We're still waiting to hear preliminary insurance increases, decreases, or any type of stabilization from our brokers with contemporary benefits. Throughout the budget, we have made our best guess on some of the revenues. I believe that they're pretty accurate. There should not be any major changes on the revenue, given the fact that we are not going to be looking at a tax increase this year. The only adjustment would be the 5% for water, 5% on sewer. I would invite you all to take that home with you, reach out to me individually if you have any questions, concerns, inquiries, and then I am more than glad to meet prior to April if we would like to schedule a special budget meeting prior to then, or we can hammer out the final details at the April meeting and then work towards a more formal final draft to submit to the state treasurer's office. So I would certainly defer to the board's judgment, guidance on how they would like to proceed with future budget planning procedures.
So is everybody okay with the April meeting? We have to have another special meeting, seems like everything's going pretty smooth.
Yes. We have to vote on that? I had to look this over.
Oh, no, this
It's
is
not
simply for
voted.
information purposes, not to
Or-
trade.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
not approving this
No,
budget or anything.
this is just for your review at a later
I have
time.
to-
We'll look over, so
Yeah.
we'll discuss it at our April meeting, and I don't think we have to have a special meeting to discuss anything on that budget, right?
We don't have anything on the, April meeting agenda already, do we? Like if we're gonna have,
Budget discussion.
if we're gonna have budget discussion and something else that's gonna be important, I don't wanna
Right.
necessarily have 4-hour meeting.
Sure. As of now, we do not have anything planned. There will probably be some approval for some of the grant applications prior to the deadlines for some of that that's coming up. We could certainly plan to meet an hour before. I know a lot of you are busy and work full-time jobs. It's difficult to get here at 6, but I do not have anything tentatively planned for April for now. Ms. Cordell?
So as of now, we'll just schedule it for 7,
Okay.
and if we have to, we'll bump it up to 6, maybe prior, 2 weeks prior to the event. or
Sure.
1, just give us a
Right.
heads up.
Sure, and I would just welcome any individual comments you guys may have as you look through it so that we can tentatively tweak and change between now and then, and maybe by then we'll have some tentative numbers from the insurance company, some more information that may be forthcoming, but that is perfectly agreeable, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything from the commissioners, comments?
I do have something, well, this is about the lodge, I know presently you got it, if somebody rents it out, you don't get no refund. And I'm looking at this perspective, you know, keep the lodge clean and everything else for somebody else to use, but this don't give incentive to the person who rents it. They're gonna leave it in a mess, and, we need incentive like we did before, give them percentage back, of the rent if they keep it clean. It's got to be checked off where they can get to pay. Or we can hire somebody to clean the lodge, before and after the events, This is something that needs to be looked at really careful, because, I mean, if you're gonna keep doing the way it is, then something's gonna get tore up, and we can't, and, there's no incentive, for them to really care,
So you're saying like a deposit, like a,
Let's say if they rent it for $125, they used to give them like a percentage back, like a little bit, like $40 or $35 back, if they kept it clean and mopped it up and let
Yeah.
it,
so like a deposit, like a safety deposit or a,
Yeah.
like a clean safety deposit where.
I mean, mean, right now, I mean, if I go rent it, and if I'm late getting in there, I mean, I'm just gonna go out the door and let the trash lay everywhere like it was, you know, a month ago, you know.
So have we got any complaints of how it's being handled now?
Around, I suppose it was around the time of COVID, the board voted to discontinue with the security deposit in order to provide for those funds for commercial COVID cleaning because of the situation that was going on with COVID. I believe when we opened back up the lodge for rentals when, in the midst of COVID. Since then, we've used a commercial cleaning company to come in periodically to clean the lodge. We have had a few incidents, one Mr. Morton alluded to about a month ago, where if the lodge was booked Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that there had been issues by the time Sunday got around with either Friday it wasn't cleaned appropriately, or Saturday it wasn't, or it was cleaned at a minimum standpoint on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. There have been a few incidents of that. There have. I would advise, and that's something that we took care of in the proposed budget, that the lodge is likely going to be closed. I hope, all things taken into consideration in the fall, for renovations with these COVID relief funds. But if the board would like to see a security deposit, as Mr. Morton stated, for in-town residents, it's $125 without a security deposit currently, $65 for the community building, and then it is $225 for out of town for the lodge without a security deposit. We can, if the board's so agreeable, we can work a security deposit into that $125. We can increase it with the possibility of security deposit. The only downside, the only issue that I would foresee, it's just additional administrative work that we have with cutting those checks each week. But if the board would like to see that measure taken into effect, we could certainly make those accommodations.
I guess the only other question I have is who would be checking off, who's inspecting the lodge after every single,
Currently staff usually checks in during the week. Occasionally, if we do have it rented Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they do not go out after each time to check during the weekends. Sometimes if it is booked consecutively like that, we will, but during the week, it's primarily the staff public works responsibility to check, and certainly each Monday after any weekend rental, we go through a check mark, and then the person that it's rented, it's required to bring back a punch list of what was done and what cleaning measures were taken.
We're not having any repeat offenders on leaving it dirty, okay? That was what Rick told me.
So we do expect to have it
renovated.
in the fall.
I hope renovations start in the fall. I would love to see it finished by the end of the year, Christmas, January. All things taken into
It's a
consideration.
pretty tough time to do it, isn't it?
Right.
And right now, if it's left dirty, who cleans it?
Public Works.
We would clean it if it was not rented prior. I have received a couple of calls. I won't say a lot, but a couple of calls over the past few years where, or the past couple of years where someone arrived, they found it dirty. They called me. I reached out to Public Works. They came and tended to it right then. But the lodge is, of course, a dated building. We have plumbing issues. They were digging up the yard in front of the lodge a couple weeks ago, repairing water lines. Dated issues. They're, to be blunt, you can only get it so clean.
I know. Okay. All right, so, does any action need to be made upon Mr. Ward's request? Y'all wanna, to table
I'm
that
interested
and
in
renovate?
thinking about it and tabling it until next month's meeting, and we can reach consensus and.
That's fine with me. I mean, you know, if somebody rents it, they mess it up. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you can't blame them. I mean,
Currently,
you know.
currently to rent the lodge, is there a waiver you have to sign that gives you liability for damages that you incur at the lodge, or?
There's an agreement that we revised when we reopened the lodge after COVID that specifically outlines responsibilities and what they agree to, what their responsibilities are, what ours are, and a waiver that's included in it, releasing us of any liability and specifically contractually binding them to the terms of the agreement.
I guess my question would be is it worth it to go back to having a security deposit if you've had a few calls? Like, at what point is it more hassle than it's really worth? If most people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and most people are cleaning up after themselves, you know, are we just adding more to our own plate?
Off the top of my head, since we reopened since COVID, I can recall specifically 3 checks being issued to refund the person who found it dirty. We've always refunded anyone who paid their deposit and they found it was truly an issue. I know for certain 3 come to my mind. There may have been a few more, but I
So
think the
the-
lodge is
So we
wildly
lost
popular.
revenue.
When you say
We did.
since COVID, do you mean 2020 or what?
We reopened, yeah, no.
Big,
We shut down the lodge during the start of COVID. We were not allowing rentals. If I'm not mistaken, Commissioner Fowler, Mayor Black, and Ms. Cordell, you may remember, I believe it was the fall of 2020, we reopened. So within the last year and a half.
three extra complaints.
I know of 3 specifically that we've refunded that comes to mind. There may have been a few more.
I mean, that's,
We've always made right on it for certain.
if you've had 3 complaints in a year and a half and it's rented out almost every weekend, that's not, in my mind, really worth, if it becomes a problem, then we need to address it, but I feel like,
Yeah, once it gets renovated, we'll probably have more pride in the building itself,
Mhm.
with more people to take better care of it.
Right.
So maybe if we table it until then, Mr. Morton, if that's okay with you.
That's fine with me.
Alright.
I'm just gonna say this, and let it go. You ain't giving the citizens, whoever rents it, no incentive. You can take care of the problem, but the day of the rental, if they find a problem, it's gonna take somebody a few minutes or 30 minutes to get there. And these people ready to start their party and,
It's an inconvenience. It is.
you know, and then you're gonna be giving out more, you're gonna pay them more, and you're gonna lose money.
Yeah.
And so,
I know I've rented one before and had to clean it when I rented it, and before we could have a party, and then cleaned it afterwards, and still didn't get my money back.
Hey, we've been there too, Mayor.
You've been there.
I remember when they used to give us a little bit back.
Yeah.
Our family used to rent it all the time, but it got too expensive.
All right, so, is that all the comments from the board members?
I have something.
Okay, go ahead.
Since we're not meeting again until April 14th, as it stands, I would like to recognize that April 9th is Jonathan's 2nd anniversary with Ranlo. And, considering we've got potentially $9 million coming down from the state and federal government, I think that, that's been a pretty good investment.
I enjoy my position and appreciate the opportunity to serve and show the support the board has had. I've said it many times, the role of the manager is to further the goals and objectives of the board. And I've been very appreciative of the support, not only of this board, of the prior board with Ms. Locklear and Ms. Connor. You all have been very agreeable. We've done great things together, and I continue to be appreciative of the faith, confidence that you all show in me, and I'm excited about the day. Thank you, Ms. Cordell. That was certainly
$1 million
nice, but
man.
unnecessary.
So do we wish to make April 9th Jonathan Bratton Day?
No, we do not.
Have a parade maybe? All right,
Prayer for proclamation.
do we have a motion of adjournment?
I do have one more thing.
Oh, you have one more?
What about the lobby? When are we gonna tend to it back up to the public?
Right. I would like to do that sooner rather than later. We've talked about doing some cosmetic changes in the lobby. We've talked about adding additional safety, security with the glass that is there. Now that we are full staff, we do have a finance director in place. We're full staff here in Town Hall. I would like to do that sooner rather than later. I know several of you expressed interest in seeing that. So is there a tentative date that the board would like to set for that? And I will make the necessary arrangements to ensure that that does happen.
You said you're gonna do some,
Before April 9th?
you said you're gonna do some, what, minor aesthetic?
Cosmetic, yeah, just some cosmetic touch-ups, cleanups in the front lobby area.
April 1st?
April 1st.
Yeah, that sounds.
Right.
agreeable.
I will.
Wait, you said?
That's good.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Well, that's enough time, that's 2 weeks, is that enough time?
All right, now I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll
Oh,
make
you
a
got
motion
something?
to adjourn.
All right, we have a second.
I'll second.
All right, this motion's now adjourned. Oh, wait, let's vote on it. All in favor?
Thank you all so much.
Motion is adjourned.
Motion is adjourned.
Something like
Someone's
that.
already home, ain't they?